Hey, good afternoon and happy Saturday to you. Dr. Preston Winfrey here, and I am just happy to greet you another Saturday in the name of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. How are you? Of course, I'm giving you a chance to answer because I really do want to know how you're doing, how you're feeling. I hope that you're doing good and that your health is good and that you have a made up mind that you're going to make it a great rest of today. You know, it's Saturday, the day right before Sunday. And here we are, the first Saturday of the new year. And in this month of January. And I'm clothed in my right mind, have a reasonable portion of my health and strength. And I'm thankful and I'm grateful for what the Lord is doing and how He has kept me. Has He kept you? Has He been good to you? Don't fool me. Yes, and see, you don't even have to be religious to acknowledge the fact that God has been good to you. And it's because of His grace that we are here one more Saturday. And so for that, I am truly thankful. Well, today, I was pondering some things in my mind, in my head, and I came up with the subject know when recess is over. Know when recess is over. And of course, we typically, probably our first time even hearing about recess was when we were in grade school, right? Kindergarten, first grade. They had what was called recess. Recess was a time when you break away from the work at hand. You know, so whether it's in school, on a job, they call it a break. They don't call it a recess. They just take a break, you know, until you take a lunch. And so in school, you get a break. On a job, you get a break. If you're members of Congress or you're in some kind of assembly and they need to pause or stop for a while, they would take what's called a recess. And you know, the same is true in life that there are things that we do, places we go, and where we just, our noses to the grind and we work hard. Some people say, well, not me, I hardly work. Okay, well, at any rate, let's just call that the work at hand. And so you do that and you work until it's break time or recess. And so recess means that you put on hold, on pause, what you've been doing so that you can relax your mind, do some things, go to the necessary room, right? But you take a break away from what you're doing. And hopefully that gives you some momentum, gives you some energy to say, okay, when I go back to the mainstream, I will be ready to do whatever it is I need to do. Well, breaks are fun, breaks are easy, but many people, unfortunately, they go on recess and they pretend that recess does not end. You know, so whether it's in school, on the job, how many people do you know um, who go on break and somehow they don't look at their watches, They ignore the fact that they're supposed to go back in by a certain time, but they just really refuse to do it. They just, oh, I'm just really enjoying this break, and I just don't want it to end. Well, fun is that way. Fun is fun, but you know, work is necessary. And there are so many people who don't mind pleasure. They say pleasure first, work later. Well, no, work first, pleasure later. That's the way it should be. But once you have had sufficient pleasure, and I guess for some people, um, they'll never get enough pleasure, they'll never get enough of recess. So then the powers that be typically will give you some time restraints and say, this is how long, this is how much time, this is the space. These are the parameters for your recess. And once you have reached the limit, then return immediately back to work. Well, there are people who are not disciplined and they want to just remain at recess, and so you can look at recess in that context as insanity. Some people, don't you know some people who's just kind of insane in their thinking, and for whatever reason, something happened during the course of on their journey, and they just kind of went insane. It went postal, as some would say, went off the deep end. And the problem is, if you don't regulate that, then you're going to find yourself hanging there on that same note for almost forever. And so there are people who's not thinking straight, who's on recess. Some would say they're out to lunch, but they're on recess and they refuse to return. Sometimes there are those on recess who refuse to take responsibility. When you're young, people give you things, people do for you, people will show you things. But as you grow, as you get older, then the ideal is those teachers must back up, back off. That was one of the things that I shared with my children, and I'm blessed that they learned it, because they recall it, they repeat it, they remind me sometimes. Sometimes they have, when talking about their upbringing, they'll say, "Yep," he would say, "I'm going to talk to you while you're young. I'm going to show you. But then as you get older, I'm not going to say as much." And they have found that to be the reality. It's because the lessons that you should learn at some point, you should be able to rewind them yourself and then press the play button. So some people don't want to take responsibility. They always want somebody to, if you will, give them a sugar tit, give them the bottle, spoon feed them. And listen, if you don't insist that people become responsibility and take and accept responsibility, then they will always be a statistic, and you will always find yourself having to feed them and to do for them. Then there are those who on recess, as it relates to grudges, holding grudges and anger and bitterness, mad. Don't you know some people who every time you turn around, they're just mad, they're angry. And you ask them, what in the world happened? Why are you so angry? And they can point the finger at so many people and so many issues. Here's a guy who can't keep a job. And when you ask him how come he cannot keep a job, he or she may tell you something like, well, the supervisors don't like me. I've had 10 jobs in 2 years, and I have the same problem. Supervisors don't like me. They can't stand me. Well, at some point, buddy, it may not be the supervisors. Check yourself. It just may be something about you, something that's within you that says, I feel entitled. And, I've always had people to pour into me and to give me and to pay forward. But they did it hoping that you would catch the vision, that eventually you would say, you know what? Just as they blessed me, as they ministered to me, as they put up with me, now I am up and at a point where I need to start to pay forward. I need to give to others as opposed to still waiting for others to give to me. It's a sad situation for a person to become um, adult in age but remain a child in mind. And, 30, 40, 50 years later, I'm still at home depending on somebody to make my bed, to make my meals for me, to wash my clothes, to iron my clothes, and to just be that money tree. At some point, you have to come from recess. You have to know when recess is over, in other words. You have to know when the break time is over. You need to get the clear instructions and you need to adhere to those instructions. If they say your break is going to be for 15 minutes, then don't wait for 15 minutes and say, okay, well, I know I only have 15 minutes. No, you don't have any more time now. You are supposed to be back in there and cutting the mustard, right? Hey, mustard, catch up. I wanted to use that. I thought that that would fit right in that little spot. When you read in the book of Isaiah in that first chapter, and when you get a chance, just kind of read that whole narrative there, where Isaiah talks about people. And listen, well, let me just read it, and I'm going to start it in chapter 1, beginning at verse 2. It says, "Listen, O heaven and earth, to what the Lord is saying. The children I raised and cared for so long and tenderly have turned against me. Even the animals, the donkey and the ox, know their owner and appreciate his care for them. But my people, Israel, no matter what I do for them, they still don't care." What an indictment. Oh, that's a horrible thing, isn't it? It's horrible for those people. And he was talking at this junction about Israel. God had been good to them. God has blessed them beyond measure. And they went on recess and they enjoyed recess and they wouldn't return to the Lord. And don't you know, as I do, many people who fit this description, Lord has certainly been good to them, but they have just wandered off. They're making excuses. And someone said an excuse is nothing but a dressed up lie. Oh, I would, but the pandemic. Oh, I would, but times are hard. Times has always been hard, and times are going to get harder. Each generation come by knows something about hard times, but also each generation knows something about taking a recess. But something says that you should know when recess is over. The Apostle Paul put it this way. He said, when I was a child, I spake as a child, I thought as a child, and I understood as a child. But when I became an adult, I put away childish things. In other words, I knew when recess was over and I returned to the work, or I went to do the work that I was required to do. And I just want to encourage you today. I want to encourage you in particular, who is on recess, on the extended recess. Maybe, just maybe, it's time for you to put on your big boy, big girl shorts and say, you know what? I need to get back to what I need to get back to. There are some things that you need to let go of, right? And you know you need to let go of. People have been begging you. People have been warning you. People have been giving you example after example. And you're acting as if you don't comprehend. You really do comprehend, but like old ancient Israel, they were just stubborn. They were stiff-necked. They were hard-hearted. And I'm just not going to do it. Don't you know some people like that? You tell them, well, you're wrong. You need to, nope, 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 nope. Well, we just ought not be that way. We ought to know when recess is over. Break is just that. It's a break. That means just for a moment, for a short span of time, you can chill. But then after you get through chilling, get up and get back to it. Let the rubber meet the road. Put that vehicle in drive. Step on the accelerator and head on towards the work that you need to be doing. Because the Lord is going to hold you accountable for what you do with your time and how you spend your time. And of course, you can fool a lot of people by saying, oh, I must have overslept. Oh, I didn't know. But listen, the Lord has purposely placed a mechanism in us that even if no one gives us a nudge, there is something internally that nudges us and say, recess is over. When I was in school, there was a bell. There was a bell that announced it's recess time. And there was another bell that says recess is over. And you many times would think, oh, well, I'm up to bat. And I wanna hit that ball. Recess is over. So it's time to return to insanity. It's time to put away your toys. It is time to quit being immature and to go ahead and stand up and, as they say, bite the bullet, cut the mustard, do what you need to do what you're supposed to do what is required of you to do. If you do that, the powers that be will be pleased, will be happy. The Lord certainly is going to be happy with you when you do the right thing, right? When you do what He requires for you to do, guess what He does? He gives you joy. He gives you peace. He gives you that contentment. You're actually able to feel the love of your Savior. If you can feel the love of a supervisor, the love and the approval of a parent, of a pastor, of a supervisor, and it just goes on, a spouse, then it gives you a great feeling within and outside because you feel, hey, I'm in compliance. I'm doing what I need to do. How much does it take? How much does it really cost to do the right thing, to get into position and be what you were intended to be and do what you should be doing? Doesn't cost very much at all. But it always will cost you more if you ignore the fact that recess is over and you want to maintain a recess attitude. Many who failed to come back when recess was over, they missed out on the instructions, which then gave them grounds in their own mind to just become more angrier because now I'm going to fail because I didn't get the instructions and they should have waited for me to get back. Well, I look at it this way, and I've missed a few flights, missed a few buses because I was not where I needed to be at the right time. And no matter how you play it in your mind, no matter what you tell yourself, well, they must have left early. No, I wasn't there on time. And if I'm not there on time, they, unfortunate to me, will not wait around on me. They have a schedule to meet. And why should others be penalized because of my own slothfulness or my own stubbornness or my laziness? So, folks, I'm just saying what I'm saying. Here we are in this new year, and we're headed into the second week. It begins on tomorrow. I don't know if you made resolutions, but hey, let's get it together. We can do that, can't we? Sure, we can. And we who are saved, what do we say? I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. He will strengthen you to leave recess, to get back from that break, and to get back and do the work. Look, whatsoever you do, the Bible says, do it heartily, not unto men, but unto God. Right? So, in other words, after it is all said and done, you and I must give an account to our Creator. And unlike humans, the Lord knows. He knows those who are His. He knows those who are righteous. He knows those who are giving their best. You may not be successful, but give your best. You may not be appreciated by everyone, but give your best. And if you give your best, you'll be able to lay your head down on a pillar of peace, knowing beyond any shadow of doubt, you know what? I've given it my best, and it's all good. It is all well. So listen, this is Dr. Winfrey saying, I love you. I appreciate you. I'm so thankful that you take the time out and that you took the time today to tune me in. I will get a chance after this to go on and see your comments. If you care to leave a comment, certainly would appreciate it. Also, I would encourage you to um, uh, get the notifications, the little bell notification, right hand side up in the corner of your screen. You click on that, and that will allow you to know each time that we are on live stream. And and by all means, feel free to share this with um, on your page, share it with your contacts, and you'd be amazed. You may be a blessing. Let me say this in the affirmative. You will be a blessing to someone who may have needed to know this thing today as it relates to recess being over. Recess is over. And let me say this. The Lord gave his life on Calvary for you and for me. He really did die, according to the scriptures. And death couldn't keep him there because on the third day morning, he arose victoriously with all power in his hand. And because of that, we can come off of recess. We can know that when this life is ended for me, I know that I have a home eternal in glory. Excellent news. That's great news. And so I want to encourage you today. Um, do what you need to do and be a blessing. Be a blessing to yourself. And you'll be surprised how much better you will feel when you stay within the safety zone. Do what you need to do. You'll have that peace of God that goes beyond the understanding of people. And the Lord will keep you in perfect peace if you keep your mind stayed on Him. So, like us, hit the notification, share it with others, and be blessed. Tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock a.m., we will be in our morning worship at Pioneer Church. And those of you who are in driving distance, walking distance, Uber distance, and any other kind of distance, you want to join us in person, we are there, 315 East 161st Place in South Holland, Illinois. And I'd love for you to be my special guest. And listen, bring somebody with you. Pioneer, bring somebody with you tomorrow as we worship the Lord. Also, following that morning service, I'm going to be guest speaker over at the Greater St. John Baptist Church at 310 South on Costner. Dr. E.M. LeSure is the pastor, and I will be there for the installation of their officers. So whisper up a couple of prayers for us. Lord, give us strength and help us as we go forth to minister to his people. Okay, I love you. I love you. I love you. Have a great rest of this afternoon. And I'll listen to a little bit of this music and then I'll be off from there. Okay, have a great day. How great thou art.